Hey everybody, it's Karen Anderson here with aortichope for our weekend review. And before we get started, as we always ask, please remember to like and subscribe to our channel so that you can receive notifications when we go live and share all kinds of wonderful information with you. And I'm super happy to have Tammy and Velda with us today. We may actually have another member of the community pop in. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, but hopefully she'll be able to join us. Welcome, ladies.
Hello. Welcome.
Aortic strong. That's wonderful. We love seeing that. Yeah, that's awesome. It's
I
great.
used to have biceps for the, I lost my biceps after my dissection. Sorry.
I did too. And you know what's crazy is I found that sometimes when I'm like taking a shower, I'll just do a few wall push-ups because it's non-strenuous, and muscle has memory, and they are like starting to build back up. I have like little, I say pebbles. They're not much of anything yet, but they'll get there.
Yeah,
They will get there.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to kick off this week with Monday. As you know, in aortichope, every other week is our movement for movement. And so Monday was Monday's movement for movement, and this we began in 2020. Coincidentally, as soon as we started this movement, we all got locked down. I can't even believe that it was 2 years ago that we were locked down because of COVID. But as we know, doing nothing is still considered doing something within the community. And we started this because we found that some community members just needed that little extra oomph, that little extra support to help them feel comfortable in doing some type of movement. So what we said was whatever you were doing right now, and actually this can be any day, just kind of stop, take a minute and just stretch in the very least. Take a quick walk around your house. To your mailbox or back, just do something and move. Following your doctor's orders, do whatever he or she has cleared you to do. And this can be sitting and folding laundry. I mean, we're getting ready for spring cleaning, everybody. So that means clearing out your laundry closet or your clothes or whatever. I know I was about to clean my clothes out this weekend and then it snowed. But whatever it is, we just want you to move. We don't want you to become cardiac paralyzed, which is a real terminology and real thing that happens to people in the community. Fear can actually hold us back. We have fear that our aneurysms might grow. If we move too much, we might get too tired. We could get hurt. If it's time to, but it's time to work through the fear, and we can do this together. And it looks like Martha is able to join us. You're catching us right in the middle of our Monday movement for movement. So we asked the community to post pictures of whatever they were doing. And we also remind everyone that we provide gentle reminders through the month to just move. So if any of you guys saw this, did you guys do any moving this weekend? What was your weekends like? Let's talk about how we moved a little bit. Or talk about how you get motivated. Martha, you want to start?
Sure. I snowshoed across the lake. So
did you really?
I did. And I didn't even fall in. So that's the good news. That's one of the pieces of good news. And so that was motivation for me, just to be able to be out and it was so quiet and so peaceful. And so that's what drew me out, and just being able to I don't know. It felt good. It was difficult afterwards because there's that post-exercise kind of shot of pain, but doing it was wonderful.
So happy for you. Velda, what did you get a chance to do this weekend? Anything in particular?
Well, you know what our weather's like. So we just had to go between, Bella and I walked up to the mailbox, which is on another road from me, probably about 7 or 8 city blocks on the country. So it's hard to measure, but it was a nice long walk. And she loved it as much as I did. I got to do some extra stretches yesterday, and the weather wasn't that great either. So you have to do things outside and with the weather interval.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was me. Now tomorrow I have my physiotherapy class on Zoom for an hour in the morning, so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, wonderful. Tammy, did you get a chance to do anything?
Well, no, I did not do any purposeful movement over the weekend, but I went to the gym for the first time 5 days. I've made my way up to 5 days a week. And so weekends are off. And I was back there today, and every week we're just, every Monday we look at how last week went, and we're changing it up a little bit. One thing that might help our viewers is the one class I'm taking is a Zumba class, a gold Zumba class. I can't imagine taking a real Zumba class because the gold one is fast enough for me. But what I'm finding, it lasts for an hour. And what I'm finding is about at that half an hour mark, my arms are just exhausted. And so then at 30 minutes in, I try to start modifying what I'm doing. So our plan this week is I'm going to modify from the beginning, not wait until I'm at the point of exhaustion to start modifying. So that would be my recommendation to anybody who's just starting any kind of routine or taking a class and trying to get through, is don't wait until the point of exhaustion to start modifying. Modify from the beginning, the same way you would start with lower weights if you go back to the gym, or you're doing a 5-minute walk rather than a 15-minute walk. And I'm anxious to see if that makes a difference.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because when I had made this big announcement when I started to go back to the gym a week or two ago, and what I found very quickly is how stunted I became when I walked in. How I find I get to approach the gym floor and I'm like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know how to turn these machines on. There's so, by the time I figure out all the movies or virtual reality rooms, I'm already tired. I haven't even really walked yet. So what I did, and anybody can try to do this, and you should advocate for yourself, is I know how important it is to move. So I talked with my general practitioner and I asked her if she would write me a script to go to physical therapy. And she did instantly. And the diagnosis code was deconditioning and fatigue, which so many people have right now because so many people got COVID or have had surgeries in the past. And it doesn't matter that my surgery was 7 years ago. She gave me the script and now I'm on Medicare. And so here, Medicare will cover about 60 physical therapy sessions, no copays, no anything. So I can go and see this physical therapist 3 times a week. She'll monitor my heart rate. She'll monitor my blood pressure. She'll take notes, report back to the GP and the cardiologist on how I've been improving strength-wise. And she already knows where my limitations are. So I kind of feel already a little bit better about the idea of moving 3 times a week, going through stretches, having her. She always would stretch out my sternum by pushing a little bit on my back just to help my posture, so I don't feel like this rusty old tin man every morning when I wake up. But I think for me, I feel a little bit more protected in that physical therapy environment versus just that open gym environment.
I will say I went and interviewed about 3 gyms, and I probably would have followed the same route you did if I had not found a small gym that I felt comfortable in. And I did pay for a couple of private sessions with somebody who was a retired physical therapist, which also made me feel a little bit better. So when I walk into the gym, she always greets me, even though I'm not there for her necessarily, but she takes my blood pressure when I start and when I end, because she just wants that comfort level for her, that I don't get in the car and pass out or something. And
right.
So yeah, you got to find where you're comfortable. And I had that same reaction. I walked into after a year after my first dissection, I walked into a gym. It was one of the purple one, whatever, the Planet Fitness. And I got myself so upset that I ended up throwing up. And I know now that it was, I was starting to feel a little probably winded. I looked around, I realized I didn't know anybody. Nobody knew my story. I didn't go with anybody. And that just ramped me up even more. So I knew that, like you, I needed somebody to know my story, somebody that would be my safety net.
Right.
So
yeah. And I was going to say, there really wasn't much walking around Friday into Saturday. I don't know when this hit you, Velda, but we had that cyclone bomb, 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts, only about 1.5 inches of snow, but boy, was it windy. It was
Yeah.
hold on to anything stable so you don't fly away weather.
The wind is scary. That's one time that I'm grateful for having extra weight on me, so I won't blow away.
Right, right. All right, we are going to move on to Topic Tuesday, and I hope you guys maybe had a chance to check this out. But so I'm just going to scroll this up here. So I don't know how many of you know this, but a lot of times in the community, there are organizations that strictly focus on dissections and thoracic aortic aneurysms only. And it makes no sense to us here because your aorta is one vessel. It's not as though this disease discriminates between abdominal or thoracic or descending or even branches off. So, we do like to talk about what happens in the abdominal area. So I don't know if any of you knew that according to the Canadian Task Force on Preventive Healthcare, there's an estimated 20,000 Canadians that are diagnosed with an abdominal aortic aneurysm annually. And this was according to an article from the University of Calgary written by Dawn Smith. I'm going to pronounce this Liban, could be Libin, Cardiovascular Institute, titled Calgary Team Tackles Abdominal Aortic Aneurysms. So AAAs, as they are referred to, are very dangerous, as we know, because if they rupture, there's actually a 50% chance of death. And this is more prevalent in men, which is what the data suggests. But for all aneurysms based on a variety of factors, it can be very frustrating if a dissection or a rupture occurs before an aneurysm has reached the recommended size for surgery. And I would say that's got to be probably very frustrating in the thoracic area as well, because we have this data that tells us when intervention should happen. And, it does happen very, not rarely, but not very often, that somebody will have an emergent event before they get a chance to have that scheduled surgery. But this article, if you had a chance to check it out, actually shares information about how researchers are developing specific software to determine the best timing of when to consider surgery. And one of the things I wanted to mention is so about 1,200 Canadians actually die each year to an abdominal aneurysm. Typically, because the disorder is, as we know, symptomless or asymptomatic, and it goes undetected. In addition, AAAs are often discovered by chance during a routine ultrasound or X-ray that happens to be looking for something else that's going on in your abdominal area. But typically also open surgery or endovascular stents are the only treatment for abdominal aortic aneurysms. And because aneurysms are often stable for some period of time, surgeons have to carefully weigh the risk of a rupture against having surgery. And currently they determine that timing based on the measurements of the aneurysm. But what they've started to do that's really interesting, because I think there's other organizations in the United States that are doing this, Doctors Moore and DiMartino are actually creating predictive software that they're calling a potential game changer. And I would suppose if it works in the abdominal area, it could work in the thoracic area. But they're preparing to launch software that will revolutionize the treatment of abdominal aortic aneurysms, called Virtual Touch Aortic Aneurysm, or VITA. And what it does is it predicts an individual's risk of aortic growth that could lead to rupture. And so, as they say, for the first time ever, they can actually tell you if your abdominal aneurysm is weak. And if this actually turns out statistically that it's predicting the right way, this is really going to be a game changer. I mean, it's going to be a huge, colossal impact, which is what Dr. McClure says. It could completely change their total approach to aortic disease. They believe they would finally have definitive evidence to guide us as to who is really at risk and in need of aggressive interventions. And so I just want to get your thoughts on that. I know personally, I know other organizations have talked about risk assessment. And if you're in the ER, putting in data based upon maybe medical history or how you're feeling as to, could you be having an aortic dissection? And I feel strongly that if somebody had entered my information, I would have been sent home because I don't think there was enough information there that would have led to a predisposition. I had no genetic conditions. I had a lot of Crohn's disease, and I think that beep, boop, 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 it would have popped out a little like the Jetsons. Well, she's not at risk. But with this, to determine your risk for growth. Now that I do think is kind of like a big game changer. So I wanted to know your thoughts. Velda, we can start with you if you have any thoughts about abdominal aneurysms in general, or what your thoughts are on having somebody do predictive testing to determine your rate of growth.
Well, the predictive testing is amazing. I think it's wonderful because, well, when I had my dissection, the staff at the ER couldn't find out what was wrong with me. I was there for hours, and they were going to wait until the next day to do a CT scan. But the brilliant doctor who was in charge, he was the youngest doctor there, he said, let's do the CT scan now, because my blood pressure was dropping drastically and then it was rising. So, you know, if you have someone or something that's going to detect what's wrong with you, I think it's wonderful. I have to let my dog in.
I am now unmuted. I clicked the wrong button. Problem averted. Catastrophic thing that happened for a brief moment in time. It's all because Velda got up and I freaked out.
I had to let Bella in. He's there. She runs my life. It's Bella wants in, Bella wants in, Bella wants in.
I thought I would just make it exciting
So, yeah,
for everybody. Right, I agree with you. I think it is very exciting. Tammy, what do you think about that? I'm not touching anything. I'm keeping my hands behind my back.
Well, as somebody who was misdiagnosed and sent home, I'm obviously thrilled to hear that this is an area that they're even pursuing, and that it sounds promising. So.
Okay. Martha.
As you said, I mean, I'm having a blank here. It's a system-wide situation. So you're going to have aneurysms in the thoracic or abdominal, and considering it as a whole and looking at people's individual situations and case by case, I think is a very promising and encouraging direction to move in, because there are people that have different syndromes and different, there are so many variables that go into it, that to say if an aneurysm is this diameter, then we intervene. Well, maybe for another person, that's not the time, and this software would address that. And I think anything that helps with the diagnostics and the more timely intervention, that's wonderful.
I think they've made great strides in the intervention. Karen and I just went to a symposium, and it's amazing what is being changed for the actual treatment, and what they can do during the actual surgery to save your life. But I'm just thrilled to know that somebody else is looking at the other part, the previous part. The only thing I've ever seen as far as helping to make the decision is that they also consider your height. They don't always just consider your size of your aneurysm. It has to do with your height also. But I think they're real rudimentary charts that they're using right now to help them make those decisions.
I feel like I want to be the person to say, I don't know how I feel about it. I feel scared to put my health into the hands of a chart, of a computerized or some chart, because I've seen way too often where any outside influence that you're not thinking about, let's say you have an intense amount of stress pop into your life, and you know that changes it, but that doctors aren't aware of what goes on in your day to day. I think to a time where I had a really bad problem with my Crohn's disease in 2017, and when I went for my scan in 18, I went up a whole centimeter in about 4 months. That's a significant amount of growth in an extremely small period of time, but they didn't know that nobody in the cardiac world knew how much unbelievable pain I was in. So do they get to know all that information all the time? Are all of your doctors talking so that somebody behind the scenes would say, oh, we just read that Karen had a lot of pain. Let's put this into consideration and a potential for growth. Maybe that wasn't growth by disease, but growth because of heart rate and blood pressure. Is it real growth, false growth? In the end, it's growth. So I don't know. I think I'm holding out. I'm going to hold out to see, do they take all of those outside variables into account? I get nervous. If there's a big, massive shutdown electronically, are we all screwed? That's the kind of stuff I think about. Well, if everything goes off grid, and there's lots of things people think about right now, especially things going on in the world. If things go off grid, I kind of feel like old school was successful for a reason. And if it takes a little bit more to talk through it, then I'd rather doctors hear you, touch you, feel you, see that, but that's me. I'll change with the times.
I would hope that the doctors just use it as one tool that in the decision making.
Right. I hope so.
Yes.
They have to. Yeah. All right. Well, that was really exciting there for a minute when I just screwed up everything. Hey, Bo, it's always so great to have you with us. We'd love to hear your thoughts on everything. And one of these days, we're all going to get Bo to go on live with us. It's going to happen. I'm determined. All right. We are going to move on to Therapeutic Thursday. If those of you that are watching us or catch us on replay, if you signed up and you were part of Facebook, you'd see that every Wednesday we have a contest. You have a chance to win some great items, just throwing it out there. All right, Therapeutic Thursday. And we are focusing on how to turn around the narrative of your mind. And I'll tell you, right, we need to turn around our narratives. There's so much stress going on right now. I don't even like to put on the news, but I feel that I have no choice because, you kind of have no choice to see what's happening in the world. But a lot of us have experienced aortic issues such as an aneurysm, or dissection due to a connective tissue disorder, a response to pregnancy, or even trauma to the chest. These are a lot of things that go beyond our control. However, for others, you might have been told that your aortic issue was caused by something that might have been more in your control. Let's say smoking, possibly being overweight, consuming energy drinks, heavy weightlifting, etc. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter why these things happen. They just do. So we're asking everybody to just kind of change the narrative. And we did ask the community to give us their best quotes or phrases that might help you change the narrative in your mind. And so in helping yourself, you will find that you can help others as well. So here were some of our best quotes. And the first one says, switch your mentality from I'm broken and helpless to I'm growing and healing, and watch how fast your life changes for the better. And the other one that struck us was, don't let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. So I don't know if any of you, putting you all on the spot, including Bo, if any of you happen to have just that magical quote that just allows you to flip that narrative in your mind. And we'll start with Tammy.
Well, I've always believed that you have to create your own happiness, that you can't depend on somebody else. It has to come from you. But then when this happened to me, it was really clear to me that you could just say, okay, this is my lot in life. This is what's happened to me. I'll never be able to walk the mall again, or I'm not going to be able to go camping anymore because I can't lift. You can't stay in that spot. So the one quote that I do like to remind myself is that change is a process, not an event. So I can't say, okay, starting tomorrow, I'm going to be able to do that Zumba Gold class from beginning to end like a champ. No, it's going to take some effort over time, and I might get there, whatever my new normal is. So change is a process. It doesn't just happen overnight. And when you're recovering from something like this and you have challenges, it has to be a process. It can't, even your way of eating, your way of cleaning your house, anything, the way you think of things, it's all a process, and you get there.
Right. Martha?
Well, linking to that, is there's a song, and I'm just thinking of a lyric, One Step at a Time. That it's a beautiful song, and I cannot think of the artist, so my apologies to the artist, but One Step at a Time, and it's a very the melody is very uplifting, and I find the lyrics also very uplifting, that that you can only take one step at a time, and you can only be in the moment, and yeah, so there. I also have a poem by Emily Dickinson, but I'm not going to go there.
That's okay. That's okay. Velda?
That's a good segue into mine. I'm always quoting lyrics from songs. Pink seems to be my favorite of the day.
Love Pink.
Recently said that section. I love Pink. She's so encouraging and so strong. One of her songs is Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken. And the words are, there's not enough rope to tie me down. That's the first line in it. So, and there's not enough tape to shut this mouth. But anyway, it's the rope that's tying me down. There's not enough rope to tie me down. I'm going to keep on going.
I love that.
All right. Martha, you said something, but it made me think of, I think isn't it like a Christmas, one of the cartoon shows, of course, I can't think of it, where they say just put one foot in front of the other and soon you'll be walking out the door.
Yeah.
Right. And when I'm singing it, so I as I start to say it, it's going to come out in song, and I will not do that on YouTube. But I would say one of my favorites has always been is the glass half empty or is the glass half full? And the best is, who cares? Because you can just refill it. So it doesn't really matter. Half full, half empty. It's refillable, right?
One thing that I think I really found that has made a huge difference for me is only surrounding myself with people that are positive. And if I have friends who every time they see me are like, I'm so sorry, this is what happened to you, this is just awful, I feel so bad for you. Like, that's fine to say to me, but I don't have that conversation with me every time you see me. And so I have not maintained or sought out that relationship anymore. And but I am encouraging and seeking out the people who are positive and encouraging. It makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Therapeutic Thursday. Bo has a quote. Oh. Yes. What would be Bo's quote? So Bo's father taught him, you do what you got to do at that time with what you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like one step, one foot in front of another. You can only do what you can do. You do the best with what you've got. And that's it. That's all we all can do, right? Thanks, Bo. All right. We are moving on to Feel Good Friday, and it's Women in History Month. So we wanted to share with you women who have made a huge contribution in the medical field. And first up, this is actually Dr. Nina Braunwald, the first female cardiac surgeon. And in an article from the Texas Heart Institute titled Nina Braunwald, a female pioneer in cardiac surgery, we learned that Nina Starr Braunwald was don't try to say that 3 times fast because it's a little bit of a tongue twister. The first female cardiac surgeon, made headlines during a time when almost all specialty surgeons were men. Women have typically been deterred from entering surgical specialties, in part because of their traditional dual burden of managing their households and careers. Instead, female medical students and junior doctors have tended to be more attracted to medical specialties. This was the reality during Dr. Braunwald's venture into medicine in 1949. However, she never allowed negative ideas to keep her from joining a surgical training program. If you wanted more information, you should check out this link. I know we've posted this before in the past, and we've had a lot of comments from nurses that they're just amazed at all of the pioneering work as a cardiac surgeon that she's been able to do. So shout out to any of the women in your life. I'm shouting out to Dr. Stacy Fisher, my cardiologist, who is incredible and inspiring, and in a field of medicine where traditionally growing up, most of my physicians have always been men. It is always exciting and fun now as I'm finding myself getting older. I'm changing I'm changing and I'm doing what I think makes me feel more comfortable. And I'm not saying that obviously men are not qualified, but I think at different stages in life, different people have different needs, and yeah, so I'm making some own changes. So I don't know, Martha, you have any thoughts on that?
Well, while we're giving shout outs, I would like to shout out to my family physician, Dr. Christine Stewart, who has been by my side, and there are so many parts to treating somebody who has had a dissection or has had any sort of aneurysm or challenge in this regard, and she pulls it all together, and she's supportive and makes connections. When I have a suggestion, she goes with it. So well done.
Very good. Thank you for sharing. Velda?
Well, my new GP is a woman. She's this is her first practice. She started in September of last year. So I'm going to teach her a lot about aortic dissections. I think she has a lot to learn. So she's going to learn from me more than I learned from her, I think, although she's really cooperative and she's kind and she's very caring. She takes really good care of me. Every 3 months I'm in for blood work and for checkups, and she's seeing how I am. She recommended that I see a mental health nurse for my PTSD, which I have been doing, and she's helping me amazingly. So yeah, I think women should be running the world.
I agree. Tammy?
Well, along with you, I'm really very grateful that I found Stacy Fisher. I feel like she looks at all of me and not just the broken parts. And but also the social worker that I see is a woman, and I think she's made a huge difference in my life also.
Wonderful. Well, we will be sharing some additional stories from some pioneering women in medical history throughout the month of March. So just keep your eyes out for those. I can't wait to share them with everybody. All right, we are moving on to Survivor Series Saturday. And this is just a reminder, everybody, that the community definitely wants to hear from you. And I see 2 people on here right now who have not shared their story. I don't think so. Did I have a story from Velda or Martha yet?
I did mine with Josh on Friday.
Oh, that's right. It's coming up. That's one of the special ones we're going to have in the next couple of weeks. I'll keep you posted when that's going to go live.
And I'm so nervous because I'm just, when I was all through, I was thinking, that didn't take very long, but I didn't go into details about things. I just kind of kept on track. But I'm sure Josh was chuckling at me because I don't keep on track very well. My focus is just like brain fog. Like, it's just like, oh my, what did I say? When I went to bed that night, I thought, what did I say? Did I tell him this? But we can do it again. Maybe I can go for my next appointment next month or so.
Absolutely not. We are keeping it exactly the way that it is, because when you do it, it's the most authentic way, and that's what everybody really appreciates. And on certain Saturdays during the month, we showcase these stories, whether live on YouTube or pre-recorded or in blog format. But we're asking for people to be the shining star in someone's life by submitting your story of survival, or if you're a caregiver to someone that has aortic disease. And we really want to hone in sometimes on the symptoms that you are experiencing, or the process of your diagnosis. And we will be sharing this information not only to our Facebook page, but to our website, through Instagram. And if need be, we're going to share it to our sister organization, Think Aorta US, and use it as a tool to show emergency room physicians and first responders why it's so important to think about the aorta. And if you're interested, there is a link, as you can see here, on our website to complete the form. And if you've already participated in this series and you'd like to be featured in sharing where you are in the recovery and management of aortic disease, there's another form you can fill out. We'd love to showcase where you are now, or it's called Where Are They Now? And that is just letting people know, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing since we first saw you and first heard you tell your story? Are you doing arts and crafts? Are you riding horses? Are you back in the hospital? Like, where are you right now? And I'll tell you what we have realized is doing this just straightforward as yourself, interruptions, dog barking. We've even had somebody push pause and did outfit changes. There's like 6 or 7 outfit changes she did in her video. Do whatever you want that makes you happy, because the more genuine, the more real, the more you're going to form a connection with somebody. And there's the 2 main reasons is you are validating somebody else's experience. They will take something away. Another caregiver will take something away. And 2, you're really giving them a moment to pause and to create questions so that they can take that to their own personal physician and start another conversation based upon your story. So I am very much looking forward to watching your story, Velda, and sharing it with the rest of the community. So thank you for doing so.
You're welcome.
And Martha?
Hello.
You got to share your story.
Well, now that you've said all of that you said, and how helpful it would be to other people to have this kind of information and feed it into and relate it to other people's experiences, I'm going to do it.
Good for you.
Yeah, so thank you for the encouragement. And Velda, you're an inspiration, because I am totally distractible. And if you're doing it, and I feel I can do it.
If I can do it,
one
anybody can do it.
of the things that sparked us to become aortichope was always feeling as though if we met somebody else like us, and this is speaking from the dissection world, if I had met somebody else who had had a dissection, while I can't do anything to change the emergency moment, I know that my moving forward recovery would have been a lot easier and a lot smoother for me, if no other reason psychologically, because I met somebody else who's alive. So when you have a scheduled aneurysm and you can read somebody else's story of how they had their scheduled aneurysm, they had their surgery, and what their life is like, you don't always need the gory details of, and this is what it feels like when a chest tube, why am I acting like a robot? But, this is what I mean. You don't need all of those specific details. That's a one-on-one phone call. But what they want to know is, I was in the hospital, I was in this length of time, anything you'd want to know. If you were having a mole removed and it's your first time, don't you want to know what somebody else experienced? So, yeah. And I think sharing with people that it is okay, it is expected, it is understood if you have the blues because of anesthesia, if you feel weepy, if you feel lost and scared, it's normal. You don't have to hide it. The sooner you let a physician know, the sooner they can give you the tools, the therapy, if you need medication, whatever you need, sooner you can start to feel better. And that's a whole other subject that we're going to get into one day, because the mental health aspect of this is never fully addressed. And when these survivor stories come out, it's the easiest way that we can give back to the community and letting them know that they have someone they can relate to. So Martha, I can't wait to hear it or read your story.
Okay, I'm on it.
All right, very good. That's our Survivor Series Saturday. And that leads us to Sunday. I mean, look, Easter and spring's right around the corner. Turn your holiday and shopping experience into a force of good. And you can do that very easily by making purchases online with Amazon through smile.amazon.com instead of just your regular Amazon. And if you don't have an account through Smile, it's so simple. You just sign up and you can pick a charity of choice. And of course, we would love it if you picked us as your charity of choice, but actually Amazon gives a donation on qualifying purchases to the charity. So you're not getting an upcharge. It's no cost to you. We would be honored if you choose us, and it helps us provide the initiatives within the community. It's so easy. I shop a lot. Everything I purchase, I just go to smile.amazon.com. I make the purchases like normal. And it's just, one extra step. Just save it, click on it, you're there. And it's a great way to help a charity that you would like to just receive, even if it's sometimes we get a check, it's enough to cover our postage for a couple months. I mean, you'd be amazed. They say a little goes a long way, and it really does for us. So I don't know how much shopping you guys do. At least that's the shopping I'm aware of. There's plenty that goes on at like 1:30 in the morning, the witching hour, where I don't know until the box. I got 3 boxes in the mail yesterday. I didn't know it was in any of them. It's such a surprise. Yeah, so not sure if you guys are on that or not, but easy tool.
Yes,
Good
and
to
I
know.
sent it all to my family members this past weekend when I saw that, and said, or yesterday, and sent them all private messages. Please make sure you're doing this.
Yeah. And this week we had Ask a Doctor. I'm so sorry I wasn't able to be part of that. I usually am, but yeah, from what I understand, I saw so many wonderful questions, and you can still go back on our Facebook page and look for a picture of Dr. Prakash and read some of those questions that came up within the community. And he gives such easy to understand information and answers. And that happens every other month, the first Tuesday of the month, beginning at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He answers questions directly. And then I believe we have a live event coming up. Of course, I can't come up with the date right now, on the 24th of March at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because our guest speaker is actually located over in the UK, but she's going to be talking to the community. We mentioned this before, so it's the first time for us, talking all about the important documentation that you should have on the ready, whether it's advanced health, I just looked like, what's the word? Advanced health directives, your living wills, personal representatives. And this is stuff according to the US, because she is a US based attorney, but she may have answers to any other questions for other countries. I'm not sure, but there's whatever is applicable in your country. It is important to have these personal documents and have them ready, because you just don't know. And it's a terrible topic for us to talk about for some people, but we're all going to die. So we should have these documents. And I can only say that it's not going to be like make life easier for you, because you won't be here, but it really makes life easier for the loved ones. So if there's that final gift you can give someone, give them the gift of an easy parting of ways, an easy time of making sense of your estate. And you know, I'm just experiencing this firsthand. My father passed away suddenly in November, and to see how everything was mapped out so easily, except he changed the password on his computer at the 11th hour, and we were struggling. How do we get into the computer? But we had an IT guru help us with that and got us right in, but it was all right. It was just so easy. It was really easy. And I really learned a lot, and I thought, wow, I have none of this in place. This will be a disaster if something were to happen to me, and I don't want to leave a disaster to my husband or my son. So it's important stuff to talk about. Anybody else got anything big on the horizon? Anything happening you want to share? Nope. All right, ladies and Bo, and anybody else that's watching us, if you're watching this on replay, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, please, so that you can find out about all of our live events that we have. And we'll be here next week. I think we're at a different date and time. I'm pretty sure we're pushing next week to Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. Double checking right now. We will be doing our weekend review on Tuesday, the 22nd at the same time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I really appreciate your insight and your thoughts, and we will see you next week. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.